There's so much talk lately. There always is, but lately I feel like there's so much talk about when it's time to say goodbye. People are really struggling, their animals are struggling. And I just had a one on one Zoom with someone about this topic of how to know when it's time to say goodbye. So I thought I would just share a lot of it with you all. Um, Sorry if I'm looking away, it's because I made notes because I don't want to forget anything. So first of all, I mean, the just the thought of putting our dogs down is heart wrenching. It just is. And some people find it like immoral, and some people even look at it as though they're murdering their dogs. And I think what people don't realize is that, and of course they feel guilty. Did they wait too long? Did they not wait long enough? And it's very interesting because I think we forget that euthanasia is actually the way we show our animals how much we love them, because we love them so much that we're actually able to let them go when it's time. Of course, when it's time is a whole question. But I want to start with mentioning these points, which I think are very important. First of all, there I often hear people say, "Well, my dog is still eating, so they're fine." The thing is, there are lots of dogs that eat until the last minute, so that is not necessarily a good indicator. The second is your dog will let you know. No, maybe sometimes. They don't always let you know. And I don't, sometimes people are looking for a sign. That could mean they're waiting too long. And by the time they see that sign, their animal's really suffering. So I'm not sure about that. I wouldn't just kind of let dogs linger waiting for whatever sign you're waiting for. This is not to put anyone down who has actually seen a sign. It's very possible, but it doesn't always happen. So just be mindful of that. Also, dogs rarely die peacefully in their sleep. We would all love it if they just went to sleep and not wake up, so we don't have to make that horrendous phone call. It would be amazing. It happens. It doesn't happen very often. And what usually does happen is we let them linger and then they're suffering because they want them to die naturally. They think it's like it's a kinder or more natural, whatever. But letting dogs die naturally often leads to them suffering. And that is a fact. Many hospice vets will tell you that they're often suffering, and you're making a midnight dash to the emergency hospital, and maybe you don't even make it. So I would think about that one. And also, unless your dog is obviously suffering, and that's something obviously we want to prevent, there is no perfect moment. And I think we're all waiting for that perfect moment to know, and we don't. I did hear something very interesting. It's known as like a subjective period. So, depending on your dog's illness or whatever the issue is, it could be a few hours, it could be months or even years, but it's during that time period when it's perfectly okay to let your dog go. I know that we like to wait as long as possible, but it's very interesting that if you listen to hospice vets, they will tell you, okay, there obviously is a period where they're going to say, no, that's too soon. But depending on the illness, like for example, if a dog is diagnosed with congestive heart failure, their lungs will fill up with fluid and they will suffer because they won't be able to breathe. Now, how long until that happens, who knows? But a hospice vet will be okay putting that animal down at the diagnosis. So it's not always about like preventing more suffering or ending suffering. It's about preventing suffering. So there are people that will make that decision once they get a diagnosis because they don't even want to see their dog in any kind of discomfort as it progresses. And others will really push the envelope and wait until the last possible second. And again, how long is that? So, sorry, I just want to see what I'm talking about. So this is the time, like that's subjective time where it could be today, it could be next week. it's really important for you to have a good relationship with your vet, because I know I do, and I really rely on him to discuss, like, what we always ask, like, what would you do? And I know they never like to answer that question, but you need to have a vet to kind of help you, because again, congestive heart failure, you may not have as long a time as a dog, for instance, that has arthritis, which could be managed. So you have a much longer window for when you could make that decision. Let's see. So there are two things we want to talk about when we're thinking about quality of life. There's pain and anxiety. So we always talk about pain. We don't want our dogs to be in any pain. We don't want them to suffer. But we don't always think about anxiety. So a dog that has dementia, or for example, they could be very anxious because they're confused, they don't know where they are. How much is that anxiety affecting their quality of life, not just any pain they may be in? You'll also notice, like an arthritic dog towards the end of their life, they could be pacing and moaning and crying and not getting comfortable. And a lot of that, I mean, it's pain, but a lot of that is also anxiety. And it seems that because of hormones in a dog's body, those symptoms often get worse at night. Another thing to think about is the overall happiness. So, can your dog still do the things that he used to love doing? But it's also about, does he do the things he hated? For example, if he always went ballistic whenever the mailman came, does he still do that? Or does he just ignore it? Again, something else to consider when you're deciding. Waiting too long. I recently read that hospice practices have noticed that people who have been through this before tend, now obviously it's generalized, it's not every person, but they tend to make the decision sooner because they've seen their dogs in the past suffer and they've regretted waiting too long. So they tend to make the decision sooner because they know what's coming and they want to avoid it. People who this is their first experience tend to wait longer because they're afraid of doing it too soon, but then they may wait too long for the animal to suffer. So I mean, I hope you get something out of this talk. There is no right time. There is no perfect moment, but there is too long. So what you should try and do, it's not easy, is we don't want to live without them. But are you doing this because you can't live without them? Think about that. Can you separate those feelings from looking at your dog and thinking, am I doing what's best for them? Is this a way that they would like to live? Am I okay with them not being able to get up and go for a walk? Are they anxious? Are they crying? Are they comfortable? Again, the thing about quality of life and making that decision is it could have been yesterday, it could be, maybe it could be next week, maybe not. We talk about ending suffering, but what about preventing suffering? So I know for many of us that's a new concept, because let's say you get a diagnosis of heart failure. There's medications to manage it, but will you wait too long and will they start to have breathing problems? It's perfectly okay to say, you know what, I don't want them to even experience any kind of breathing problems, any kind of discomfort. I'm going to just say goodbye now. Again, your decision, but there are many people that do that. They don't wait until XYZ. They do it right away. But this is why I think it's important to talk to the vet, because we're so involved we're so in it all the time, it can be difficult to see clearly. What we don't want is to be pressured into making a decision one way or the other by, friends or family that have nothing to do with the actual final decision, or even vets that may convince you to try something else, try something else, try something else. Is that right for you? So it's helpful if your vet is on the same page, and go and have an honest conversation. How your dog is doing. Is, I don't know, are all the treatments that he's getting, that you're giving your dog, are they the best thing for your dog? Is it improving his life? But I know for me, what helps is, can I step outside of myself even for a moment? And I mean, I know it's never about me. The phone call is horrendous, 100%. But because I know that it's never about me, I'm able to make the phone call because it's only ever about that dog. So can you step out of your fear and sadness of letting him go and just focus on it? Am I doing the best for him or her? It's not an easy thing to do, but try. Try, even if just for a moment. There are quality of life indicators. You could take a calendar, hang it up on the wall, and at the end of each day, write if it was a good day or a bad day. And then after a week or two, look at it and see, are there more bad days? Even if they're still eating, are there more bad days? There are also many quality of life scales that you can find online that ask a series of questions that will help you objectively, as much as you can be objective about it, figure out what to do. And I also think that a lot of us know what the right thing is to do. We're just not able to admit it and make the call. So sorry, I'm rambling. I hope some of this is helpful to you. I hope you found like a different way of looking at it. But the one thing I could ask you is, can you step out of your own grief, as hard as it is, for a moment and look at your dog, look at his life, and say, is this what I want for him? And is this a good life? And when you make that decision, if you do decide that it's not fair, it's not a good life, it's time to let him go before things deteriorate, this is another conversation, but try not to beat yourself up about it. Did I wait too long? Did I not wait long enough? Accept the decision. You made the decision when you were able to make it, and you will experience the grief. Try not to get lost in it. But again, that is another conversation. So I'm going to stop rambling on. I just hope you take some points away from this and think about it. Think about your situation. And if you have to talk to your vet who can be more objective, talk to your vet. So anyway, leave your comments below. Let me know what's happening with you. Did this help? Did this not help? Even what other live videos you want to see. I'm going to be doing more Zooms. I've done 2 already, just with 1 or 2 members, just so that everyone has a chance to talk. We've done anticipatory grief, and today we did when to know when it's time to say goodbye. We'll do those again because I know those are big topics, but I'm happy to do lots of other topics. Just let me know in the comments, and yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know, and I hope you have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.